Hey, it's Simon here and I'm out in the Grand Massive, and today what I wanted to do was talk to you about this snowboard, the Jones Ultra Twin. Everything that you would have seen from this trip so far has all been recorded whilst riding on this snowboard. It's a board that I've really enjoyed riding, but I want to give you a bit more information and delve deeper into why it suits me and why it might suit you as a snowboarder. If this is your first time here and it sounds like something that interests you, I'm Simon and I make gear reviews and resort reviews and I go snowboarding quite a lot. So if that sounds like it interests you, try and subscribe. It really helps me out. And if you find value in this content and you're a returning viewer or a first time viewer, whatever, make sure to hit that thumb. In terms of this snowboard, a little bit of housekeeping because it's helpful for you to know some stats about the board and about me, and then you can compare it to yourself. The board that I've been riding is a 156 wide. Now, I tend to ride wider snowboards. I don't necessarily need to. I've got medium bindings, but I do like having a little bit more of a gap between the edge of my binding and my edges, because it just allows me, I feel, to lean a little bit further into my turns. Now, you might have your opinion on that, but that's the size of board that I'm riding. I normally ride a 159, so this is shorter for me, and there was a very specific reason that I did that, and I'll go into that in a little bit. I've partnered the Jones Ultra Twin with the Burton Cartels, which it has been a really nice all-round binding for me over the last few years, and I weigh about 96 kilograms, don't judge me, few too many burgers, but that puts me at the top end, if not over, the recommended weight range for this board. Now, recommended weight ranges, and when I've worked in snowboard retail in the past, I would always try and size people up based on the recommended weight ranges, and ideally you sit in the middle of it. But there are snowboards out there that it doesn't seem to matter so much. Now, I was nervous about sizing down from 159 to 156. However, I haven't found it an issue. And I think part of that is due to the profile and some of the other factors about this board. So let's delve in. In terms of profiles, if you're not too sure about snowboard profiles, I'll link in the description to a post on my website where I discuss the different snowboard profiles. This is a cam rock profile, and that is my favorite version of any snowboard profile. It's the type of board that I always like to ride. My previous board before this, a prior wildcard, I'll link to the review for that. That was also a cam rock profile, and what that means is in this area underneath your feet, you've got a camber. And a camber means that the edge is bending back down towards the snow. So you get two contact points which are engaged with the snow. If you had a rocker here, it lifts those contact points away. Now, people would argue that, that rocker snowboards are less edge catchy, but that's where cam rock comes into its own, because from the end of the camber, on the tip and the tail, on the nose and the tail, the board has two rocker points, and it lifts the nose and the tail away from the snow, which means that it's less catchy. Now, I like cam rock snowboards for a couple of reasons. First of all, I find that they give you that stability underneath your feet. If you have a full camber snowboard, they just tend to be more stable. So having that camber allows you to maybe feel that little bit more secure. I find that with rockered snowboards, with the edges lifted away from the ground, they can feel a little bit wishy-washy. That's just my opinion, and I'm sorry if you feel different, but that's why I'm here, to give my opinions. But by having the rocker on the nose and on the tail, it does give you the opportunity to have that extra little bit of floating powder. So people would argue again that a full camber snowboard in powder conditions would float less than a rocker or a cam rock snowboard. And the other thing that's been really important in terms of riding this board has been that there is 2 recommended stances. There is the free ride stance, which is slightly set back. That's how I've been riding it. And there is the freestyle stance, which is centered on the board. Now, the flex is also directional, which means that this board is stiffer towards the middle and the bottom of the board, the tail of the board, and it's softer towards the nose. Again, that is going to help you, first of all, with stability through your turns, but second of all, with ensuring that that nose can be lifted nice and easily when it gets into those deeper powder turns. My real reservation about this board was that it was 3 centimeters shorter than my last snowboard. And I thought that maybe when I was riding in deeper snow, first of all, it might struggle. So the nose might struggle to get out of the snow. And second of all, I might end up with that dreaded powder day back leg burn from having to put my weight back too far. Honestly, this is one of the easiest snowboards that I have ever ridden in deep snow, and I'll put put some clips on screen of me riding in powder over the last few days, and there is numerous videos on the channel from the powder days that I've had here. It's a board that riding in powder, it is absolutely thrived, and I think having it set back in that free ride position and also having the rocker on the nose and the tail has really helped with that. The reason why I took that risk and sized down a little bit is because I wanted a board that was a bit more manoeuvrable when it came into tight areas like trees. Again, over the past few weeks here, I've been riding a lot of trees over in Flane and in Lake Haro, and I found that actually this board is incredible when it comes to just moving in tight spaces. So I'm happy with the size of 156 wide, and maybe that plays into your decision. I found that I was happy to go that little bit shorter because the flex of the snowboard is actually quite stiff. So it's rated an 8 out of 10 for flex, which for something that is marketed as a free ride but freestyle snowboard, like to have anything with the word freestyle in it but also have an 8 out of 10 flex, unless it's like a pure jump board, seems a bit ludicrous. But this has lived up to that kind of expectation of still being stable, still allowing me to go through powder and tight trees, but it's also been manoeuvrable and fun, which has meant that when riding switch, obviously it's still a twin, although it's a directional twin, riding switch has also been really easy. The one thing that I would say is because of that stiff flex, and it's my ability, so I know that there'll be some of you at home who are more than capable of pressing and buttering this board. I found it really hard to butter and press. It's not the reason why I got the board. I did try a couple of tail presses, but you know, it wasn't something that that I found easy to do with this snowboard. Other things that are important: the base. It is a super fast sintered 9,900 base. It's one of the fastest bases that you're going to get on any snowboard on the market, and because of that, it will need regular waxing, so be aware of that. So if you are out in resort, I've been out here like over 3 weeks now, and I've been waxing it every 3 days really, and you can see here that there's white spots starting to come back. So again, it's in need of a wax. I did take it through some trees when there wasn't enough snow, and I have put some marks in it and some core shots, but hey ho, that's what they're here for. The other thing that's been really important is that it has a serrated edge, and people would have heard maybe the term magna traction before, which is Libtech boards would use that. Yes boards have used something called underbite, and essentially what that means is your edge is serrated like a bread knife would be, and so when it grips on the snow, rather than just having the traditional 2 contact points, one at the top and one at the bottom, it has multiple contact points along that edge. Now, bearing that in mind, and also bearing in mind the fact that it's 3 centimeters shorter than I'm used to riding, this has been one of the most reassuring snowboards that I have ridden in basically icy conditions. And again, that was something that I was worried about, because when you size down, you kind of sacrifice that little bit of stability and that little bit of edge hold, because obviously the longer the board, the longer the edge, the easier it grips theoretically. However, having this like Magnetraction type serrated edge on the snowboard has been absolutely incredible. And I can only remember of one time over the past few weeks that I've actually slipped out on an icy slope, and that was nothing to do with the snowboard. That was all me and my body position. So overall, that's my thoughts on the Jones Ultra Twin. It is a board that I have absolutely loved riding. I think in hindsight, although I've sized down to the 156 wide, I think that's the perfect size for me for kind of your all mountain, round the resort riding on your regular day. I want to do a bit of switch. I want to ride fast. You know, that's my everyday size now, I think, in this board. I would be interested to ride the 159 wide and just maybe have that for the day that all I want to do is bomb and go fast. But maybe that's what my Jones flagship's for. So if you would like to see a review on the Jones flagship, just let me know down below in the comments, and I'll do that as soon as possible. In terms of the Ultra Twin, highly recommend it if you are looking for a board that is going to allow you to go anywhere, do anything, jump off of little cliff drops, just have fun anywhere on the mountain, but without thinking that it is a full-on freestyle board. Yes, I have taken it through the park, through little ride-on boxes, little jumps, but that is not its intended purpose. So if you're looking for a full-on freestyle twin, consider a different board, maybe something like the Solomon Assassin, for example. If you've got any questions, as I said, drop them down below. If you're still here, thank you so much for watching. I'm Simon, and I will be back again with another video next week. I hope you found it useful. If you found value in it, do be sure to hit that thumb. And if you want to support the content that I'm making here on the channel, you can either use the links down in the description, which give me a little kickback, or there is a QR code on screen which allows you to buy me a coffee. As always, see you soon.